There's no hikers crossing. We're not too close to the train in front of us. So all this is stuff that he cannot see from the back there. So on his eyes out here on the platform, really important I'm facing forward at all times.
You can take a picture of Kate.
Now that being said, I'm going to tell you all about the sites, you guys. It looks like we're in for a good morning here. The weather is supposed to be kind of all over the place today. The winds are pretty intense up there right now. They're right around 63 miles an hour. And I think they're going to go up for a little bit, but they shouldn't get much above 70. However, the good part of that is blowing these clouds through, allowing you guys to get some views. Sometimes when it's a little calmer, the clouds just sit there over the mountain, and that really can obstruct your potential views. So last I checked, the visibility up there was about 2 miles, but there was big old clouds sitting at the top. So I imagine it's actually improved a bit by now. You can actually see
something cool
some
about
of the
this.
Towers up on the summit. I just told you to look, I didn't say it.
That was fake. That's it. Yeah, that's it. You're done.
Not fair, not fair.
Alright, so that's not a real moose, but we do have real moose here at the Cog Railway. And believe it or not, they do actually come right out next to the tracks. Just know while the trains are running, they don't like all the noise. I do walk my dogs around here in the morning, and we've seen them up here right next to the tracks. They mostly like the early morning and dusk and early evening hours. And they are a fan of these cooler, cloudy kind of days. And they are all around you. This is a heavily populated area. All around us is state and national forests, and there's actually tons of wildlife. We have moose, bear, deer, coyote, fox, rabbits. You name it, we have it. There's just miles and miles of wilderness out here. In the wintertime, you can have a 5-foot drift form on the tracks in a matter of a half hour.
I believe.
I've seen it in late fall when we run all the way up. Those drifts form really, really quickly, and the ice on the tracks can be really dangerous. So we can run all year. We have a giant snow blower we use to clear the tracks, pushed up in front of the engine, but we don't because it can be dangerous. So after we get a bunch of snow, we get past, mid-late October, we just run up to that Wambach station because it doesn't get too icy or snowy down this far down the mountain.
Do people take the train up with their skis in the winter and ski back down next to the tracks?
Yep, so we do have people that ride the train in the winter time. They'll ride up to Wambach Station, ski down next to the tracks. Some will hike a little bit higher, but you actually don't want to go much higher than that Wambach Station. Once you get into the area of Long Trestle in particular, which is way up a little bit further past Wambach Station, the maintenance road besides the track gets really narrow and rocky. It gets really windswept, so the snow doesn't stay there. It just gets super icy. So much up above the Wambach Station, you don't want to ski down anyway. It's icy and it's incredibly dangerous because there's great big drop-offs over the side.
Let's talk about Tuckerman's Ravine for a minute.
Let's talk about the ravine.
That's incredible. I knew people that would climb the hill and then ski down to Tucker. Oh my God.
I'm just totally exhausted, really not feeling well. Finally went to the doctor to see what could be done. The doctor advised, medicine being what it was in the 1850s, you should probably start by taking some time off, relaxing, enjoying the great outdoors, taking up some outdoor activities, getting shape. So wanting to feel better, Sylvester Marsh followed all that advice. He did all that, came back here to his native New Hampshire, started doing lots of hiking, some relaxing, and he actually did start to feel a lot better, so much so that one day he and his friend decided to try for the summit of Mount Washington. Woo! And he set out on a day much like today where it's pretty warm and nice at the bottom. Looks like a beautiful day up at the summit. They started hiking, making their way along. Unfortunately, when they got to the tree line, things took a drastic turn. A storm rolled in. Suddenly, the two could no longer see where they were going, found themselves hopelessly lost. They were cold, they were unprepared, they were wet, they were confused, they were becoming extremely worried they might not make it down off the mountain. Now, their destination was a hotel that was at the top at the time, and as they quickly or soon lost the trail, they began to just fumble around hopelessly in an uphill direction, hoping to stumble upon the building. And they finally did, luckily for them. They went to bed that night incredibly grateful to be alive, knowing that it could have easily gone the other way for them. Now they woke up the next day, they went outside, took a look around. was one of the most beautiful days we get here on the mountain. The visibility was about 100 miles. They could see all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. They were in absolute awe of this beauty before them, so much so that Sylvester Marsh took up a new mission in life that day. He decided he was going to find a way where ordinary people could get to the summit of the mountain without having to risk their lives to get there.
What are these, cameras?
Sensors.
That makes sense.
Wombat. Elevation 3,800 feet.
So this idea of a cog railway was a bit revolutionary, so much so that when he took it to the New Hampshire state legislature to get their approval, he was actually laughed at and ridiculed. People told him he was a fool. Trains can't climb a mountain, they told him. You might as well build a railway to the moon. Poor Sylvester, he left that day with his tail between his legs, but he didn't give up. He was very persistent. He eventually got the approval he needed, and construction began in 1866. It was completed 3 years later, July 3rd, 1869. And we actually just celebrated our 152nd birthday. As we go by the tank here, the little sticking out, don't want to hit it. Perfect. Alright, so up on our left is the aforementioned Wambach Station. If you ride the train in the wintertime, that's where it'll take you to. And they got some fires going and marshmallows, hot chocolate, snacks. Really pretty views in the wintertime. Now coming towards us on the passing track, it's my very favorite engine, the M7. Now as the M7 comes up here, I want you to take a look down below that ladder on the front and look for that big silver wheel with the teeth spinning down the center.
That's it, huh?
That's it. That's the cog.
That's it.
That's the cog.
So what you're looking at there is called a cog. And the cog works together with this piece, nice, because the past couple of days the summit has been just totally up in the clouds. And it's not raining per se, but those clouds are all just moisture. So when we were getting up to the summit, it was very wet, just moisture blowing around. Those coaches and those trains just came down dry. So that's good news for you. Looks like it's dry up at the summit today.
How long have you been working for the cog system?
So this gentleman asked how long I've been working here. This is actually my first day today.
Yeah. Oh, baloney.
I'm just kidding. I've been here about 3 years.
You're doing a good job. You're welcome.
All right, so I was talking about our origin story, our Sylvester Marsh story. We passed a big water tank on the left side. Now you'll notice we didn't stop there, but that's incredibly important for some of our trains here. In addition to our biodiesel trains like this one, we have 2 steam engines, old-fashioned steam engines. And those steam engines, they run on steam power, which is generated by you put coal into a fire on the engine. They have an actual fire going. You put the coal in, you heat it up. It heats up the water, which produces the steam power, which powers the engine up the mountain. So those old-fashioned steam engines, you'll see one when we get up top. We just did this morning run. They go through each run up the mountain 1 ton of coal and about 1,000 gallons of water. Thing is, though, they can't hold 1,000 gallons at once. So on their way up the mountain, they stop at the Wambach tank, top off with the additional water they need, and then continue on their way up the mountain.
It must have been a bitch getting some of this steel up here.
Dude, the whole thing was a pain.
Unbelievable.
The great thing is, though, is once you got the first thing in track laid, you just load it on the train and move it up the track.
There we go.
2008, and it was actually never intended for customer use. It was for use by our tracks crew, so they can get around the mountain with their big equipment and pieces of steel and wood when they were doing big projects. So we produced it for the purpose of them having their own engine they could ride up and down the mountain on, because those steamers are really cumbersome and hard to operate. And we actually loved it so much when it came out, we decided why not expand our fleet to include these biodiesel, but also keep those traditional steamers as well. So that's what we did. And then we started producing these biodiesels as quickly as we could, about one every year or two, up to our current fleet of 7. Now, coming on the right here is the halfway house. The elevation here is 4,500 feet. But the cool thing about this building, just like it says on there, is exactly level. So check out your reflection as we go by the picture window. You'll get a really good idea
Doug, don't
how
sit down.
the grade we're going up here.
Don't. Okay. I literally said don't sit down. You sat down.
I didn't hear that.
That's so weird, huh?
Is that cool? See the track there? See the little cog?
Profile Rock is named after New Hampshire's original famous profile, the Old Man of the Mountain. So, from a distance, we feel this looks a lot like a miniature version of him, but only from a distance. As you get closer, you can't see it. But the Old Man
You're welcome. I'm
is
trying to get out of your picture, man.
He's on our highway signs, license plates, and quarters. Was a real rock face
Yeah.
that was in Franklin, Maine, but sadly fell down back in 2008.
Somebody put that rock there. That's a big ass rock.
Alright, get ready. Here comes the most exciting part of our ride. This is Jacob's Ladder. Jacob's Ladder is our steepest section of track on the railway. As we pass the red sign, the grade is roughly 38%, meaning people in the front of the coach will be 14 feet higher than those in the back. So at that point, try to stand up, see how steep it is here. This trestle is 200 foot long. At its highest point, it's 30 feet off the ground. Now as you're standing up to get a view of that, take a look over to the right. We got some beautiful views of the Ammonoosuc Ravine. That building up there is the Cloud Tiger's Hut. Up above it is the summit of Mount Monroe. Looking down towards the base station following that ridge line, you can also see the summit of Mount Franklin and then the dome of Mount Eisenhower in the distance. Now below that building there's a beautiful trail that runs up the mountain. It's called the Ammonoosuc Ravine Trail. And that's where the Ammonoosuc River, the river we cross over at the bottom, runs down the mountain. Now the Lakes of the Clouds Hut is named after the actual Lakes of the Clouds, two beautiful little lakes up near the summit of Mount Monroe. You can't see them anywhere from on the train ride, but if it is kind of clear in the summit, you might be able to look down at the south face.
Yeah, there are.
Now, coming up on our right side is Frog Rock, or Rocky. Frog Rock here is our tree line marker. He sits at 5,000 feet, and it's his job to welcome us to up above the tree line. And just in front of him, we got some members of our tracks crew out here doing some work. These guys are out here inspecting, adjusting, maintaining things every single day.
Frog.
Frog.
Occurs at or above 10,000 feet, and it's due to a lack of oxygen in the air. However, here in Mount Washington, we have plenty of oxygen. That's not the problem. Our tree line is at 5,000 feet just due to our very extreme weather up here. Now look to the left, you can see some hikers coming down the Jewel Trail, making our way in this direction.
You will get high, but when you go down, it'll hit you because all the oxygen runs back. Same thing on a plane with drinking. You drink at altitude.
Oh yeah, it's like drinking on a plane.
Yep. Then when you hit the ground, you are pumped.
Now, although we are formally above tree line, if you look around, you'll see there's some stragglers. But what you'll notice about them, they're on a downslope, they're next to rocks or our tracks. They're somewhere where they get just a little extra protection from those elements up here. That's the reason they're able to survive. Now we get into the more open, windswept areas near the summit. Those trees are going to disappear altogether.
Did they ever find gold up here in the mountains? No.
Negative. Sorry, Doug.
Gotta be there. Gotta be.
Now, if you look around, though, you might get an eerie feel, kind of like you've entered into a bit of a different world. And in some ways, you actually have. This is a totally different climate zone up here than at the bottom. It's called the subarctic climate. These are the same conditions and vegetation you'll find up in northern Canada, just below the Arctic Circle.
No shit. That's cool. That's cool, Doug.
Now, the mountains we passed over by the Ammonoosuc Ravine on the right side a few minutes ago, those are part of the Presidential Range. We call them the Southern Presidentials. Coming up on the left in just a few minutes, it looks like we're going to be able to make out some of what are called the Northern Prezzies, or the Northern Presidentials. Now, alright, now looking over to our left, you can see a hiker making his way down. He's on a hiking trail, and you can tell where the hiking trails are by these giant rock piles. Those are called cairns or cairns.
That's the name of them.
Parents.
And those are trail markers for up above the tree line. The trail he's walking on is called the Gulf Side Trail. Now, some of you might have noticed he bent over and tapped his backside. And that's a little something they do up here. It relates back to our story. So our nickname for a while was the Railway to the Moon. That's what they said to Sylvester Marsh. You couldn't build a rail. Somewhere along the way, people hiking along the Appalachian Trail, which that Gulf Side Trail is part of, took up the tradition of mooning the trains. Now, some of them will give us the full show, and some of them will just do something like that. But we've had a lot of people doing it this year, more than usual.
Men and women?
People are happy to be
So
outside.
looking over to the left, those mountains over there are the Northern Prezzies. The one furthest away from us, a little bit smaller than the others, is Mount Madison. Next to it, there's a really, really wide mountain. That mountain is Mount Adams. Mount Adams has 3 peaks, John Quincy, Sam, and Abigail, 2 of which are visible from our vantage point.
I'll get the other side on the way back. By the way, we'll switch
Next to
seats
Mount
so I can
Adams
sit
is
in the
the
window.
fabulous Mount Jefferson.
Okay.
And then
You heard what I
closest to
said?
us on the left,
we'll switch.
Mount
Yeah.
Clay.
Oh
Now
man.
looking around, we got lots of debris up here, pieces of steel and wood. We are going to clean this all up, but we're currently at the tail end of a massive project we've been working on. We've been re-railing the entire railway. So about 2 years ago, we started taking off all the old rails. It's called 25-pound rail because it weighs 25 pounds per yard. We replaced it all with 100-pound rail. 4 times thicker, stronger, sturdier, and smoother than the old stuff. Now we've got just one small section left to finish, as well as the cleanup, which we're kind of just picking away at it. But we are going to clean all of that up. Now, they originally estimated this project was going to take about 5 years because it's not so simple as just replacing the rails. So you're taking 25-pound rail, replacing it with 100-pound. It's 4 times heavier. It's thicker. We had to take out the wood supports that were under the 25-pound rail. We also had to adjust all of these wooden pieces because they're now carrying 4 times the weight they used to. So everything had to be adjusted. It's been a very painstaking and tedious process. But like I said, just one small section left to finish.
How much does one section of steel weigh?
25.
25 per 100 yards.
That's market prices.
So it's, for every yard weighs 100 pounds.
Right. How long is the length of steel? How much is one
How
length?
long is each rail?
Yes. How much
I
is
think
each
it's.
one?
I think they're like 9 feet pieces or something, 9 or 10 feet.
We're talking 900 pounds.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you have to have 2 men put that into place. That ain't happening.
Well, they have these big cranes they bring up here to set them in place.
We're done with manpower, man. We have machines now.
So as I said, over on the left there is the Gulf Side Trail. Now the Gulf Side Trail is named after the Great Gulf, which is a glacial cirque. And it was that big open area you saw beneath the northern presidentials. And the Great Gulf is a really, really big ravine. It's just called the glacial cirque because it was carved out by glaciers, fancy name for it. And over there, over the edge of the Gulf Side Trail, if you go just a few feet to the left of the trail, over there, there are sections where there are 1,000-foot drop-offs over the edge.
That's fun. 1,000-foot drop-offs, bud.
As I said, that Gulf Side
You want me to
Trail
chunk
part
you
of
up?
the much larger Appalachian Trail,
Yeah,
which
okay.
runs about 2,200 miles. It has its southern terminus at Springer Mountain in Georgia, and its northern end at Mount Katahdin in northern Maine.
Have you done the Appalachian Trail?
What's that?
Have you done the Appalachian Trail?
Wind's picking up.
Now, up ahead you can see those cairns, those rock tiles on either side of the tracks. That is where the Appalachian Trail crosses our tracks. So if you never get the chance to hike on it, you can still say you've been on the Appalachian Trail because in just a few minutes we're going to cross right over it. Just a few seconds, really.
Dude, look at the wind. It is whipping.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, it is cruising. It's blowing up here.
Yep, there's the Appalachian Trail right there.
Yeah, man.
You only got 1,500 miles to go.
Looks like we're entering video game territory where shit goes wrong. Sorry.
Now, believe it or not, we are going to be up at the summit, and certainly appreciated but not expected. So please just hang tight. I'll let you know when we're all ready to unload.
Now they should have something for you up top.
I'm going to be last getting off.
Yeah, perfect. So just hang tight because they may have to bring it outside. They might not be waiting with it. We'll see what happens.
You're super awesome, by the way. Can I catch this at all?